Alright, so here what we're going to do is we're going to take the, we've already cleaned up all the grease and gotten it as good as we can with the acetone and cleaning it up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a wire brush. This is just surface and scale. So we're going to see how much we can get off with the wire brush, all that. And then we're going to hit it with some rust reformer before priming and painting. And while we're at it, this is the pile of stuff. The 50HO plaque was a gift from a friend, so we're going to restore that. We got the timing tab that we've already wire brushed and rust reformed. And you know what, we're going to go ahead and clean up and paint the bell housing as well. So, alright, lots of hours with the wire brush. Here we go. Hey buddy, you helping out? So yeah, this is what we got. Sometimes it might not seem worth saving, but it's a real Ford part, and I think if I keep putting in the elbow grease and with the rust killer, it might be okay. So we'll keep at it. Alright, so we've got as much of the scale, we've got it cleaned up as much as we can with wire brushes and sandpaper. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit it with some pre-prep degreaser. This brand is KBS Coatings. Had this left over from when I painted the floorboards on my last Fox, so that's why we're using this deal. And then once that's all wiped down and all the grease remover's done, then we're gonna hit it with some rust killer. Alright, well, it's been hit hard with wax and grease remover, so at this point we're gonna use it from the same company. It was actually in a 3-part kit. It's kind of a lot like Pour 15. This is their Rust Blast. So basically what you got to do is on a heavily rusted application, you got to keep applying it and keep it wet for an hour, and then after the hour you let it dry completely and then rinse it off and you're supposed to have a primed, ready, rust killed surface to paint. I am, however, going to prime before I paint, just try and put every chance to keep this pan from rusting as long as it possibly can. Prices of aftermarket pans are ridiculous, and I don't want something that's made in China that's not going to fit, so I'm going to do everything in my power to salvage this Ford one. So here goes nothing. Don't worry, I won't bug you guys for an hour of wetting it down, but we'll get back to work and we'll show you the results. So yeah, it says just keep it wet, don't let it dry. So we're gonna keep it wet as long as we have product left to use, and then we'll go rinse it off and allow it to dry and see what it looks like, and hopefully it'll be time to prime. So we have the oil pan and the timing tab ready for paint. Using the Rust-Oleum engine primer. Did that rust treatment. Still looks like rust to me. So at this point we're just going to prime it up, paint it, and hope it holds for as long as possible. Well, after two really light coats and one decent coat of the Rust-Oleum engine primer, that's the result. I'm pretty happy with it. And obviously you can still see the pitting, but I mean, I've treated it, so we're going to hope it holds. At this point, got to let the paint cure for a full 24 hours. The primer, rather, cure for a full 24 hours before we can hit it with enamel. So I guess what we're going to do is, while this is curing for the day, we're going to get to work on the bell housing and the 50 plate. So, well, here goes nothing. So at this point, I've got it pretty much cleaned. There's still some lingering paint that my brush is not wanting to pick up. So I have a few options I can do. I'm going to start by just filling all this with brake cleaner, and then while it's wet, I'm going to run the brush as well. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to try with a little bit of thinner. We'll get it off. I'm not too worried. And once this is completely off, we'll give it a complete clean and wipe down, and it'll be ready for its coat of paint. So I'm really happy with that. Got all the black paint off, got all the corrosion off, oxidization. oh boy, that's a hard word for me to say, oxidization. So now we'll be ready to paint it with the black paint, and then at the end we're going to pass a sander on top, and it'll look like a factory unit. And if it turns out all nicely, well, then I'm going to clear coat it. So we've got it all cleaned up, all wiped down. It's ready for paint. So the next step of the process is we're going to use Old Reliable SEM trim black. I have just enough left from doing the trim around my windshield and hatch with this stuff. I have just enough left to do this. So this is the next step in the process. This is after the second coat of trim black. You can see in the top right corner it dries a lot more satin, so come back and give you a view when it's all dried up. So this is what it looks like all dried up. Now we're going to sand the parts that we want to be raw aluminum, and hopefully that goes good, and we're going to get back to work on the bell housing. For now, I'm going to let this cure for a day or two, and we'll get back to it towards the end of the video. So we've been working on the bell housing. The last Fox I built, my 1980, I ended up painting the bell housing and if you blew it a kiss, the paint would have chipped off. So I'm not painting it, but I am attempting to get it cleaned up. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna try and polish it further or if I'm gonna clear coat it or what. I need to do a little more research on that, but for the meantime, just gotta keep getting this grime off. Still have the top and this side left to do. From here to about here is done, and I'm almost done the back here. I just got this section left to do. So yeah, man, we're on the grind, but all these little details, you know, I'm all about trying to make what you have work and make it look good. So we've got the bell housing first run done, got it really clean. Now I'm going to come back around, smooth it out, and I think I'm going to polish it. So it's a lot of work, but trying to build it right. So this is after maybe a minute of gentle sanding. You see what we're trying to go for here. Just try not to go too hard, because I obviously don't want to mess up the paint that we're trying to keep. So just patiently. And just my piece of advice is the factory lines of the aluminum, if you will, they go horizontally. So don't sand up and down. Always sand side to side if you're doing this. So grab the sanding block and get back after it. Would you look at that? Super happy with the results. Look at that. It looks brand new. Looks like it just rolled out of Detroit. Haven't clear coated it yet, but we will, to protect the raw aluminum so it stays nice. But I'm really excited about that. That's quite the transformation, and it's all these little details like that that's actually going to make the car a nice car once it's all said and done. So now that we got the 5.0 plaque all cleaned up and the oil pan has had plenty of time, been about a week now, It's had about a week to cure the engine primer, so now we're going to get out the gold.
I love gold so much that I even lost my genitalia in an unfortunate smelting accident.
Get the first coat on tonight, and then hopefully get the second coat on first thing in the morning, because it takes a while for this stuff to dry. Well, we got the first coat of the gold on the oil pan. You can still see some brush strokes and some primer poking through in some spots. It's definitely going to need 2 coats. The heads ended up needing 2 coats and a couple little tiny touch-ups for a third, so... But it lays down pretty well. Ideally, I would have done this with a gun, but I didn't have one, so I did it with a paintbrush. And to my own detriment, kind of did it with a cheap paintbrush, so that's on me. Got the timing mark too. It's all for you. Second coat done on the oil pan. The brush strokes kind of show with this paint. It shows even more when it's wet. It flattens out when it dries. But let's be honest, the oil pan goes on the bottom of the engine, on the bottom of the car, and I'm the only human being that's probably ever going to see it, so it's not going to rust, and that's good enough for me. Now we're happy with how this turned out and how it looks, but we want it to stay nice, so I don't know if this is a good idea or a terrible idea, but we're going to use some of this Duplicolor clear coat, engine clear, and we're supposed to give 2 light coats and a medium coat, so, and then let it cure for 7 days, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully it sticks to the aluminum. So this is after the third and final coat of clear. I know it looks a little milky. I'm really hoping that clears up. It says to let it cure for an hour and then it can be handled, and it takes 7 days to completely cure, so we'll come back and check it in an hour and see what it looks like. I'm super happy with that. That came out great. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.